You really think this is worth a tip? The man in the grey suit barked, slamming his fork onto the table so hard the silverware jumped. His voice was loud enough to make heads turn. The young waitress, barely holding her composure, tightened her grip on her notepad. Her lips pressed into a practiced smile, but the pain behind her eyes was impossible to miss. Table 7 had been relentless since they arrived, complaining about everything from the temperature of the soup to the volume of the music. But the worst part wasn't the criticism. It was the mockery. The man leaned back smugly and said, "Maybe if you smiled more, people would actually want to serve you," as his friends chuckled like schoolyard bullies. At the neighboring table, a man in a fedora and glasses quietly observed the scene. He looked like any other diner, anonymous, composed. But what no one knew was that he owned the restaurant. Richard Dempsey had been undercover for the past week, dressed down, blending in, watching. After building the place from scratch, he wanted to know what really went on when he wasn't around. Tonight was supposed to be his final night in disguise. And then he saw her. Her name tag read Anna. From the moment she approached his table, Richard had noticed something different. She moved with quiet purpose, noticing things before they were said. When he coughed lightly, she brought warm tea without asking. When his napkin dropped, she replaced it mid-step. No flair, no fakeness, just genuine, instinctive care. And then she turned to the nightmare guests at table 7 and handled them with a grace far beyond her years. But what broke Richard wasn't the rudeness. It was when the suited man tossed a napkin onto the floor and snapped, "Pick that up. That's your job, right?" Anna bent to retrieve it, not out of fear, but out of silent dignity. She straightened, nodded, and walked away without a word, her face unreadable. The men left moments later, throwing a single dollar on a $120 bill. Richard's eyes followed her. He wasn't just impressed, he was moved. He reached for his bill, preparing to pay and slip away unnoticed, when he spotted something beneath the check. A folded card with the word "Congratulations" on the front. Confused, he opened it. Inside, in graceful handwriting, it read, "If no one told you today, you're seen. You're valued. You're not just a customer. You're a person. Thank you for being kind." His throat tightened. He looked up, and there she was, clearing a nearby table. He waved her over gently. When she approached, he asked if she had written the note. She nodded, eyes wide with uncertainty. "I sometimes leave them for guests who seem like they're having a hard day." "I'm sorry if I overstepped," she said softly. Richard stared at her. Overstepped. She had done more in one shift than most employees did in a month. He asked how long she'd worked there. "Almost 2 years," she said, "mostly nights." Said it helped pay for her mother's medication and her part-time college classes. Richard felt like the wind had been knocked out of him. She wasn't just a good worker. She was the soul of the place. The kind of person you build empires on, and yet she had no idea who he was. He leaned in and asked her a final question. "If the owner were here tonight, what would you say to him?" She hesitated, then spoke with quiet strength. "I'd tell him this place has heart, but some people here, people in the back, make it hard to breathe. Not customers, staff. The kind that act like they're untouchable. We notice, even if no one else does." That was all Richard needed to hear. He stood slowly, reached into his coat, and pulled out a folded check. Without saying another word, he placed it beneath the receipt, nodded to her, and walked out the door. Anna returned moments later and froze. Under the receipt was a check, and a note in the same elegant script she had used earlier. It read, "For your mum's meds. For your future. From the guy you thought was just a customer. See you tomorrow. From your boss." Her knees buckled as she sat down in the booth, her hand covering her mouth. For a long second, she just stared at it, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Then came the applause. It started with a few claps from a nearby table. Then the kitchen doors swung open and the chefs peeked out. A busboy stopped mid-step and began clapping too. The entire restaurant rose to its feet. No one knew exactly what happened, but they knew kindness when they saw it. Respect, heart, and justice. Anna didn't ask to be noticed. She didn't perform for tips. She simply chose kindness in a place that often didn't return it. And tonight the universe noticed back. Before we wrap up the story, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? We'd love to hear. If this story touched your heart, show your support by liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel.